Next visualizations are table and matrix. They are the most commonly used visualizations. So why you need to use a table visualization or matrix visualization? The simple statement is, so far whatever you observed the visualizations, I said, boss, maximum 2 dimensions you can represent the data at a time. If you want to represent a more than 2 dimensions, can you make it with the help of a bar chart or a pie chart? We cannot. I want to represent a 4 dimensions or 5 dimensions data. At that time, you must go ahead with a table or a matrix. Now, the table visualization that we have here, how to configure is, you just need to bring the columns, whatever the column that you want to add it as part of your report. You just need to add it as part of values. Automatically the table will get created. Now, this is how you need to add the columns. Under values, you need to drag the columns. Whatever the column that you wanted to add, you need to drag that one. Now, here focus mode, which is going to maximize it, and export data. If you want to export the data into another file, or show data is same concept, and remove if you want to remove. Find clusters, we'll see later. Spotlight is going to highlight, and sort by state. Sort by state, if you want to, so just a second, 1 second. One second. Okay. So, so sort by state. If you want to sort the state, or if you want to sort by book name or sort by city name, whatever you want, you can make it. That you can do from here also. You need to select there. So you can sort it from here also. Interactive sorting is there by default. Those are the sorting options that we have. See, when I make it, automatically it got selected. And here the properties are general, like exposition, height and width, that you know that, like in order to increase the height and width of that your visualization, will use that height and width, and where you want to place, that is going to define by the exposition and y position, and table style. So there are some predefined styles are there. You can select whatever the style that you want. In .NET, however, we have a grid layouts are there. Here also some layouts are there. You can select whatever the layout that you are interested, and then after you can configure that one. So I selected this one, and then after, here you have a different levels of settings are there. One is overall grid level settings, and then after header level settings, and then after value level settings, then after total level settings. Now grid level, vertical grid, if you want to enable, you can enable it. Grid is nothing but each cell will be considered as a grid. Vertical grid, yes. And what is the color? So you are able to see that the vertical lines were made with the color. And what is the size? And horizontal grid, enable, and what is the color, and what is the size of that one, and row padding, like horizontal grid color is specified, and then after row padding, row row padding, column padding, we have in HTML concepts. Row padding is nothing but the difference between the line and the value, the line and the value. So if you want to provide a proper spacing between them, you can provide, you can see the cell space, like the gap between the line and the value is getting increased. So that is what we're adding. And outline color. Outline is nothing but the line between the header and the values. So what is outline color? And you are able to see, or if you want to increase the outline, now you can identify whether the outline is there or not. And text size, the overall visualization, what is the text size? Okay. And image height, this concept is we don't have any configuration for it. Okay. So this overall visualization, let me filter. So if you want to increase or decrease the width of that image, you can use that one. And column headers. Now we are going to provide a configuration for the columns. By default, it was came with a backend as a black and a font color as a white. And by default, whatever grid size that you provided, that size was applicable applied over here. But I want to give my own customization for a headers. I want to change the font colors and I want to change the background colors. That is a default style which we selected previously. Now if you want to customize, you can customize here. And outline where you want to specify. And auto size, the column width. Based on the value you want to increase or decrease the width of a column, you can make it. And what is the font family? What is the font family? And what is the text size? Only for that header you can increase the size. Okay. And alignment. Alignment is one of the new feature, I think, that was added in the last month. So previously we don't have that alignment. Like if you want to align the column name to middle or left or right, we have some workaround will be there. Okay. So we used to add a space in front of that column name, but now we have we have the alignment option is there. So you can align your column names to the center or to right. You can see these were came to right, the state came to right, or center, state is moved to center, and left. So you can align that column names. And the word wrap on or off. If it is on, what will happen is if you reduce it, the name is moved to the another line without truncating. If you are not on, what will happen is, for the sake of space, if you reduce it, you are going to lose that name. So word wrap on or off, based on your requirement, you can use it. Is it fine now, Shiv Prasad? Hello? Fine. So that word wrap is nothing but whenever you are having a column name which contains a, let's assume, 20 characters name, but you are going to represent a flag there, or you are representing a 2 digit or 3 digit number, a 2 or 3 digits value. At that time we are going to use this word wrap and we are going to reduce the width of a column, so that we are going to save the space and the values. So this is the configuration for a header. And the values, if you like, now we are going to configure these values, what color you want to provide. So here alternative colors were provided at this point of time, so you can select the colors. Whatever. fine. So whatever, like if you want to change that background color or font color, you can use that one. And outline, if you want to provide a line between the values, we already enabled a horizontal grid. We don't require any line. So okay, so then the outline, if required, you can able to add a line there. And sometimes like URL icon, so if you have any URL related data, you want to represent that URL with an icon, you can enable that one. And word wrap here also. So whenever you have values, like if the value is very high, at the time it is going to occupy much space, you can apply that word wrap for the value also by enabling this one. And a font family and text size, you can increase the text size of the values. And a total, so by default the total will be enabled for all the numeric columns. The total you will get it, but if you want to off it, you can off it, or whenever you on it. So what is the font color of the total, and what is the background color, and where you want to provide outline. By default outline will be provided on top of the total. And what is the font family, what is the text size. So whatever you configured as part of a grid, that is for these three things: header, values, and a total. But if you want to customize, you like each and every category separately, you have the options are there. Now field formatting is there. The field formatting and yesterday series formatting for a bar chart or a line chart, both are same. So here, what is the meaning of this one is field formatting functionality is everything is fine, I configured according to my requirement, but one of the column I want to give a different formatting. At that time, you can select that column as part of field formatting. So I want to give for a state, I don't want to apply any background colors, or I want to apply the complete state column single formatting. So at that time, what you can do is you can select the column whatever you want, and the font color, I want everything to be represented in a green only. I have limited options are there. So and background color, everything I want to represent in white only. So you can see there is no alternative concept here, everything white and a green. And now alignment, how you want to align, and thereafter you want to apply this formatting to your header also. Yes, you want to apply that formatting to the total also. Yes. So this complete formatting, I increase the size unfortunately, but anyways you can see that the complete state column applied the same formatting. So if you want to configure any specific column according to your requirement, you can use this formatting. You need to use the field formatting option, and you can configure according to your requirement, and you can see that values also aligned to a middle. So like that you can select whatever the column you want, and you can configure according to your requirement. This is going to override your header value grid configuration that you applied. And next one is conditional formatting. Conditional formatting, like here based on the value we are going to showcase the data. So for that I'm taking another visualization, or I need to reduce the sizes of this. Just give me a second. Text size. Anyways, we'll go for a new table. So here state level, city level, book level, the amount paid, and grid, you can see this is the data. Now as I said in a GAS visualization, Sometimes I want to see the status. These numbers will not give anything to me, or these numbers will not give anything to the business users or the outside people, whether they are growing good or not. Okay, but I have a set of limitations or set of conditions that if I have more than this value, I am in a safe zone. If I am getting a less than this value, I am in a danger zone. Okay, I am not yet reached my target. I need to showcase, or someone need to understand that one by seeing my visualization. It's not me in simply representing the data. For that, we have a concept called, with respect to tables, we have a concept called conditional formatting. The conditional formatting can be represented by using a three ways. One is background color scales, second one is a font color scales, the third one is a data bars. For the value column that you have, how many parameters that it is showcasing? Observe amount paid only. For the value column, this value can be represented by using a three ways. That status can be represented by using a three ways. One is background color scale, which means if I enable it, it is showcasing based on the by default algorithm that it has. It is representing the data from high to low. The color saturation is representing. Okay, but you can configure that one in such a way that bus, if it is less than 2500, I want to represent this color. If it is between like more than 2500, in another color I want to represent. And now it is showcasing only two colors. If I reach my target, it is representing that blue color. If I am not reaching my target, it is showcasing a red color. Okay, so now you can specify the other option also, like diverging, like you can represent a three colors. I can say that the center value as up to 4000 is another color, and 40012 higher values in another color. Now it is going to showcase up to 2000, it's a red color. Up to 2500, it's a red color. Between 2500 to 4000, the color is getting saturated, and more than 4000, so at that time we are giving that blue color. You can see that one. Now here, like this you can configure. And what is this option is background color scale. The complete cell, the background color will change. Chinababu, just give me 2 minutes. So the complete cell backend color will be changed. That is background color scales. And the font color scales is nothing but the background will not change, only font will change. I am off this one, I am enabling this one, so you are able to see that only the font colors are changing. For that also, you can provide your own configuration, that is by default configuration. But if you want to configure, you can configure the lowest number as a 3000 and the highest number as a 3001. You should not represent 100 colors, right? You need to represent 2 or 3 colors. So it is representing up to 3000, it's a red color. More than 3000, it's a blue color it is representing. This is what font color scales, like only font is getting changed. And the third one is data bars. On the cell, it is going to generate a bar for that value. And here Here also, like, you need to specify what is the minimum value, what is the maximum value that you want to consider, and positive, if the value is positive, what bar that you want to represent. The value is positive, I want to represent with a green. If it is a negative, I want to represent with a red. And the bar direction, how you want to represent a bar, left to right or right to left. And axis, let's assume if I have a positive and negative values are there, so at that time how you are going to represent your axis, that axis color. Click on OK. Now you can see that, like, all are positive values, it is representing in a green color. I align it to right, that is showcasing. And you can align this value to the center, that as you already know, or you can align this value to left, you already know, right? So field formatting, and you can select that amount paid, align to left. If someone asks you, boss, I need to represent a bar, but by default the bar and value will be overlapped, they will ask you, like, you need to get this value to the left side. How you are going to make it is this one. Based on the values that you have, the bars are generated. Okay, so this is how you can configure your conditional formatting. The value, whether you reach it to specific link, the value, whatever the value that you have, whether you reach your target or not, in order to represent that one, or in order to make the other people to represent, we are using the conditional formatting. For that, at this point of time, we have three options are there. One is changing the background color, changing the font, and changing the data label. So, like, changing the background color, changing the font, and backend bars. These are the options, and this is how you can configure. Now, just give me a second. I would like to set a color in a 6 condition with a different single color. No sir, at this point of time that expressions are not available. You can generate a 6 different values, but you don't have a 6 different colors. Switch case expressions are not available here. To apply a color, dynamically applying a color, we don't have that option at this point of time. Yeah. And title, background, general, we already had a discussion. So this is what the table configuration, how you can configure a table. And the next one is matrix. Before going to a matrix, does anyone has any questions on this configuration of a table, all the properties? Arpit, Balamurli, Chinababu, Deepthi, Jahnavi, Manoj, Krishnaveni, Manasa, Sheikh Shan, Shankar Reddy, Shiv Prasad, Sugata, Sridevi, Srijit. Okay, fine. So the next one is the matrix visualization. So we have, but even though we have this customization like conditional formatting, like only 3 options, people will come up with a different requirements. And let me showcase another slide. I will showcase another slide later. So we have some custom visualizations also there. As I said, once we are done with the visualizations, I will tell you what are the things that you need to practice. There's having some extra conditional formatting is there. So now the next visualization is matrix. So matrix visualization, if you want to represent your data in a multiple dimensions, or if you want to represent the data in your horizontal or vertical dimensions both, at the time you can use a matrix visualization. So here you can represent your dimensions horizontally and vertically, you can represent. At the same time, you can represent hierarchies in a horizontal and a vertical, both the places. So at a time I can represent the data of a multiple dimensions. Here a hierarchy, here a hierarchy. I can represent a multiple dimensions data with the help of a matrix visualization. Now, how to configure that one is, you have rows and a columns and a values are there. So as part of rows, whatever that dimension that you want to apply, and the value. Now by default it is showcasing as a drill down visualization. If you observe this one, by default, even if you create a matrix visualization, it is showcasing it as a drill down visualization. You know what do you mean by drill down visualization? If I click on it, it is going to next level. If I click on it, it is going to that parent and child it is representing. So now you need to tell to that visualization bus, I want to represent this drill down, or I don't want a drill down. You need to tell. We need to configure somewhere. We'll configure. But matrix visualization, I taken 2 dimensions as part of a rows. Even it is showcasing it as a drill down visualization, and even you can represent a 3 dimensions also. And you can see state, city, and a book, and state and city, and then after state and city and the books it is representing whatever. Now here I represented a 3 dimensions, or if you want to represent the dimension in a parent, like in a column also, you can configure. So I am configuring the book name there, and now we'll understand the configuration. So focus mode is going to maximize, and here we have only 3 inputs are there: rows, columns, and values. And here sortings are there: export data, see data, spotlight, everything we observed. And here the general, where you want to place, what is height and width, and what is the style. You can select one of the style whatever you have. And the grid means this configuration, the overall configuration. Grid means, so you want to enable a vertical grid. Yes. What is the color? You can see that is applicable for everything. And what is the thickness of that grid? And horizontal grid enable. And what is the grid color? And a padding, the space between the line and the value. And outline color, we don't require any outline. Outline color is this one for a column which is under it's separator between the values and header and a total. So you can see for a table it is that one, and for a matrix you have a dimension on left side also, right? Row wise also. That's why it is a separator here, here, and here. So now what is the color of that separator? And outline width and a text size. What is the default text size of the complete matrix? And column headers. For headers, if you want to configure something, you can configure here. What is the font color? What is the background color? The font color I provide as a blue, and the background color yellow is specified. And where you want to provide outline, there only auto size, the column width, font family, text size, alignment, how you want to align, and URL. If there is an URL you want to represent with icon, and a word wrap, we already had a discussion. And the row headers. Now about this configuration, the row headers, what is the font color? I am providing it as red. Okay, red I provided, and you can red I provided, and the background color I provide as a pink, and outline where you want to provide. The outline was provided over here. And the step layout, on or off. Step layout, I made it off. If I made it off, you can see that when I drill down, or this is what the matrix visualization that you use to observe in SSRS all the places, right? Step layout, if you make it on, like it will come in a single column. But here, if you off it, it is how the actual matrix used to represent. This is the first dimension, this is the second dimension, and these are the values. You can see that up to here is related to row headers. So whatever the configuration that I applied, you can see that that was applied here. And so that is what row headers, like I step layout, I made it off. If you made it on, everything will be represented in a single line. Everything is represented in a single line. That the parent column, parent dimension, child dimension was represented in a single column. Even though in a single column, if you represent, you have a very less space here. You have to make the people to understand. You can specify the indentation with a high value, so that you can see this is the parent, these are the childs. You can see a proper space between them. So you have to save the space. They provide by default a drill down option. If you say, boss, I don't want any drill down, I want to represent as a SSRS matrix only, so you can represent that one however you want. So parent dimension and child dimension is getting displayed and the values are displaying here. That is what the step layout. By default it will be on. You have to make it off if you want to see a similar to SSRS or other reporting matrix visualization. And URL icon, if the values URL, if you want to display as URL icon, you can. And word wrap, font family, text size, alignment, those are fine. You can see those are aligned to center, aligned to right. So this configuration was done. Now the configuration for a values. The configuration for a values is what is the font color, background color. The first, that alternative formatting we need to apply. What color you want to apply or what background that you want to apply. You can specify. And then after, banded row style. So one second. Here there is no option. You can leave that one. Banded row style and show on rows. And outline is nothing but the line between the values. We don't require that one. URL icon, if there is a value we are representing, at the time you can represent as icon. So I will showcase. So in this report we don't have that URL. You can see that the URL link. Okay, so instead of representing that complete URL path there, so it is going to occupy some space. Other than that, I can represent another bar chart there. So you can showcase the link there. Instead of representing a complete value, you can represent as a link. We cannot specify as a link in the backend, right? We are going to provide a text value. That text value we are enabling here as a link in a Power BI. So whenever I click on it, it will be redirected to that Salesforce page, that case number. That specific value is going to give as input, and it is going to open that link. So whenever you are having a URL links, we are going to enable that one. By default, that will be enabled. So however, by default you are getting that drill down, you have to optimize the space, that will be enabled. So word wrap and font family, text size, those are fine, and subtotals and grand total. Subtotals are nothing but these things. You want that subtotals are what? As part of subtotals, we have a row totals and a column totals. If you don't want the row totals, those were removed, and if you don't want the column totals, these column totals are nothing but the total that you are getting based on the columns sum. So these one, if you don't want, you can stop it. So whenever you enabled it, the row totals are enabled at that time. So what is the font color? How you want to represent that row totals? I am providing it as a blue only. The overall total is represented here. Row sum was performed, that and font family, what is the background color that you want to provide? You can see for that the specific color was provided, and what is the text size? And apply to labels. Labels you want to apply, label is nothing but this one. You want to apply the same configuration for the label also, it is applied. And row subtotal position, where you want to provide, at the end of that grouping or on top of a grouping. On top of a grouping means, so here the total was added on the top. Okay, so per row level you wanted to display this one, like based on what grouping you want. So here by default the grouping was performed based on a state name and a city name. The grouping was performed. Now if you want to exclude anything, these two are added. If you don't want that one based on a city name or based on a state name, you can remove that one. So you can ignore this one, like you don't have a proper functionality over here. But rows subtotals is nothing but if you want to enable the horizontal or vertical subtotals, you can configure it here, and their configuration you can specify over here. And grand total, I am disabling that subtotal, and the grand total is nothing but overall sum. If you want to get, you have grand total option is there. Grand total, one second. So grand total, you don't have like enable or disable that. If you want to represent, you need to represent through this, like by disabling per row level, per column level you have, right? So it made completely confused. Just give me a second. So we have subtotals concept is there. Subtotal is nothing but for each grouping it is going to showcase the total, and we have grand total is there, which is going to represent the complete total. So here row subtotals were on, which is nothing but the rows values will be calculated and that sum will be represented over here. And similarly column subtotals I just now disabled, and if you want you can enable it. So these are the column subtotals, the columns sum will be performed. And what is the grand total is nothing but grand total overall the complete column, overall the complete row it is going to get it. Now if you don't want row subtotals, which means for each grouping level the rows will not be calculated, it is not getting displayed. If you don't want a column subtotal, all the columns will be added. If you don't want, you can disable it. So those are the row and column subtotals. If you want, you can enable it and you can configure that font color, background color, font family, size, and apply to labels and where you want to place it. Those are subtotal level things. And now per row level you have an option called per row level. If you enable it, you have an option that why you have only these two things is you have only row subtotals were enabled. As you have a row subtotals were enabled, you have an option that boss how you are going to calculate the sum. We are calculating the sum based on the state level, city level, row level you are getting the value, right? So whatever the total that you are calculating over here, this is state level, city level, the sum. Now if you want to enable that one or not, so what do you mean by this one is, so state per row level state by default it is going to consider a grouping based on a state level and a city level and it is going to display the data. Now if you remove that city level, like city level grouping is not getting performed, the grouping, the sum is not displaying over here and you are unable to see the sum. And similarly if you disable a test state level anyways it is not going to get displayed there. If you enable these two things together, then only it will works fine. Okay, so what, one second. So if you want these totals, they divided into subtotal and grand total, it's a shit. The thing is here you have two totals are getting displayed. One is this group level and the overall level. At the time if you want only this one, you can remove this one by removing this option state level. If I remove that state level, this value will not get displayed. This is nothing but, on the simple note, the subtotal is nothing but a sum of these three things will be displayed here. This one is a sum of everything will be displayed over here. Now if you remove this one, this group level sum will not be displayed. If you remove this one, the overall sum will not be displayed. That's it. Okay, so the grand total also with respect to rows and columns, right? The grand total also, it's a horizontal and vertical sums. So if you don't want this one, you can remove this one. If you don't want this one, you can remove this one. That's it. They made on complete confusion. And grand total, you don't need to enable anything. Automatically grand total will come whenever you enable this one. Whenever you enable the first dimension, automatically grand total will come. And what is that configuration? And what is the background color? And apply to labels. You want to apply to the labels or not? What is the size? So that is what grand total configuration. So here, what is the main thing is, you don't have an option to enable or disable a grand total. The grand total will come into picture whenever you are enable or disabling with that row subtotals only, row and column subtotals. Here you have two types of totals will be there, grouped by the dimension and the overall level. If you remove, like for each level, you are able to see that on or off. By default everything is on now, you can see. By default everything is on. You are able to see 3 levels of totals. Now if you don't want at a city level, this total if you don't want, you can disable it, but you are able to see the grand total. If you don't want at a state level, you can see you are unable to see that one. So grand total, subtotal, everything configured there itself with the columns, and based on your requirement you can use it. Totally confused. Anyone has any questions on this? Anyone has any questions on it? I feel you must be in a confusion. But you need to understand that one. I never thought that I will explain that matrix concept this much time. Let me add the row filter state and city and the amount paid and we'll add book name again. Okay, fine. Understand here very clearly what is the subtotal, what is the grand total. Thus, okay, fine. So here, for each group level, you have the sum was calculated here and here. Okay, for each group level, you have the sums were calculated. We used to call it as a subtotal of this dimension. And overall, for all the rows, it was calculated. This will be referred as grand total. Grand total. And here as you have only one dimension, understand very clearly, as you have in a columns how many dimensions that you have, only one dimension. If I have a multiple layer, you will have a 2 levels of totals will be there. One you can consider as a subtotal and one is a grand total. For a column level, as you have only one dimension, you have only one total, that will be applicable, that will be considered as a subtotal and a grand total both. That will be considered as subtotal and a grand total both. Now here you don't have any option to enable or disable a grand total, but subtotal, if you don't want row subtotals, which means which are calculating, which are coming based on the sum of rows, if you don't want, you can stop it. If you stop it, what has happened here is row wise sums were not getting displayed, even the grand total also not came. Observe here, not only a subtotal, if I stop row subtotal, even a grand total also not came. For that, per column, you can see that if I stop row subtotal, even a grand total is not coming. You have a requirement that, boss, I don't require a row subtotal, but I want a grand total. I don't require a row subtotal, but I want a grand total. How to configure that is nothing but row subtotals enable it, and here per row level on it, you can see that subtotal, you can see that, like, I'm not doing anything, I just enabled a row subtotal. You are able to see subtotal and a grand total both. Now per a row level, I'm just owning it, making on, and I'm saying that, boss, I don't require a subtotal at a city level. Now you can see that a grand total was displayed. Grouping level, you don't have a subtotal, at a overall grand total is displayed. So this is how you can use it. Okay, let's consider a scenario, boss, I don't want a grand total, I want only subtotal. I want only grouping level subtotal, I don't want a grand total. At that time, what you can do? You can enable a city, disable a state. That is what the actual functionality. Okay, so I hope now you people can understand, if you people are following. So that is how you can configure the state and the city based on the subtotal itself. They are configuring the grand total and subtotal both, and you wanted to enable a subtotal or disable a subtotal, or you might have n number of dimensions as part of it, and if you don't want a subtotal at all the levels, you can disable it. So that is how you can configure. Now you can understand what is a column subtotal and how to enable or disable also. At this point of time, only we have one dimension, you are getting only one total, and that one also, if you don't want, you can stop it. Fine. So this is one of the complete subtotals concept. I hope you understood each and every option which is available with the functionality. And the field formatting, we already had a discussion, and how to configure, we have 3 types of formatting will be there. So like field formatting, whatever the customization that you applied, if you wanted to apply a specific customization for a specific column, you can use that one field formatting. And we have a conditional formatting also there. We have 3 types of conditional formatting will be there: background, font and data colors. Data bars, we already had a discussion. Title, background, general, everything we already had a discussion. Okay, so now that is what the configuration of a matrix. So anyone has any questions to configure a matrix on a table? Able to understand? Chinababu. That subtotal and the grand total, they made some mess. that word got delayed. Okay, fine. The next one is, so table and a matrix we are done, and we are not going to see any R thing. So if any one of you are R experts, you can go through it, like how to execute R scripts over here, but R script we are not going to cover. And the next one is KPI we need to see, and the scatter chart, line and bar, waterfall. Okay, so now the next visualization is KPI visualization. KPI visualization, there are some issues with this KPI visualization from the beginning. The proper formatting is not there. Because of that, there are a lot of KPI visualizations are there in custom visualizations concept. Now, whatever we have issue or not, we need to understand what it is doing. So here, normally KPI, key performance indicator, is nothing but it is another visualization where it is going to represent whether you reached your target or not. In order to represent that one, we have three things over there: indicator, trend axis, target goal. What is your target? How much you achieved? In order to represent that one, here I have the target is nothing but actual cost I am paying, and actual value is amount paid I am saying, and the trend axis, like give some, like we need to give some dimension over here. Give any dimension, or let me give the state instead of city. Now if I use this one, it is saying some nonsense here. In order to understand whether it is nonsense or not, whatever the methods that I used, one is actual cost, I am bringing here, and another one is the amount paid. You can see that the amount paid is 58, the actual cost is 64, but when I use the amount paid and actual cost is showcasing 21480. Now if you understand, now if I understand, like if I take the state, if I select Tamil Nadu, then the value is correct. The 24 is the amount paid, like 21 is the amount paid, 2439 is the actual cost. It is saying that, boss, your goal is 24, you reach 21. If I select a Maharashtra, 88 is the amount paid and your goal is 12.24. If you select Andhra Pradesh, boss, you reach it to 28, your expectation is 27.54. So if I select individual values, that is working fine. But if I am not selecting individual values, it is giving some wrong value. Okay, so this is what the KPI functionality. So based on your selection or based on the values, it is going to showcase you whether you reached your target or not. What is your actual value? How much you are achieved, whether you are in a safe zone or not, or in order to get that one, how much percentage you are backward or forward. It is going to showcase. For that, export data, show data, remove spotlight, that we already know, and these are inputs. And here indicator is this one. How to represent that one? Automatic or thousands, or millions or billions, like you can specify that one. How many value decimal that you want to represent? I want to represent 1. If you have any decimal values, that will be represented. The trend axis, even if you showcase, are not no use. And goals, this is a goal. You want to showcase a goal or not, and you want to showcase how much far you are for that goal or not. You can enable those two things. And a color coding. Color coding is nothing but, it is saying that by default, if your goal is high, you reached, your indicator is less. Goal is high, you are less than your goal. At that time, it is showcasing in a red color. Sometimes it is on the other hand. Okay, sometimes if you have a high value, that is good. Sometimes if you have a less value, that is good. Okay, if you have a rank which is a less number, that is good. Rank 1 is first. Okay, sometimes if you have more value, that is good. So how you want to configure that one based on your requirement? So let's assume I should not meet my target, then only I am fine. At that time, low is good, I will specify. So as I not reached my target, it is showcasing as. Wherever I reached my target, it is showcasing it as red color. So how you want to configure that one was specified over this one, color coding. In that time also, if you reach your target, what color you want to represent? If you not reach your target, what color you want to represent? And a title, background, general, everything we already covered. That is what a KPI visualization. And you cannot represent this one as part of a table or some place. So you have some limitations here. That's why you have almost 5 to 10 custom visualizations which are representing KPIs. And the people who are using SSAS, we have KPIs can be designed there. That KPIs you can represent here, and there you can generate a flags, arrow marks, and everything you can represent, signal lights, everything. So, but this is the KPI configuration that we have. So these are fine. In the second row, everything we covered, and the next one is nothing but scattered or a bubble chart, scattered chart. Scattered chart, like here, as part of machine learning, and there we are going to use most frequently. But here also I can represent with a small example. So here also you can represent 2 dimensions. One dimension is a detail, second dimension is a legend. If you want to divide that detail with another level, you can use that legend. So I am representing a state value I represented, and legend I represented. Each state I am dividing based on a city. Now x-axis I am representing a specific value, that is nothing but a total amount, and y-axis I am representing actual cost. These are the 2 maximum values that I have, where the amount paid might be available between this. Now the size, as you know about that map visualizations, by default bubbles will come based on the value, the size will be increased or decreased. So the amount paid I am representing as a size. Now up to here this is fine, as we already configured 2 dimensions. You cannot add the color saturation. Tooltip that you already know, play axis will understand. Now what it is representing is, or let me enable that x-axis and y-axis fonts. So it is saying that for a specific value will take. So this one is representing Mumbai. That y-axis or whatever, you can say that the total amount is 10,600, the actual cost is 9,500, and the value is, the amount paid is 68. So this bubble is representing based on that amount paid and the total amount. and it is representing a measure based on the like it is representing a size of the amount paid. So like that, it is representing everything is representing three methods over here. Now, in order to understand this one more, people were provided with animation concept. That is nothing but play axis. Here you can drag your data. Here you can drag. I'm adding a date column over here. So whenever you add a date column, so user can able to play this one, so they can see on what date where we are. Can play or you can drag wherever you want, or you can stop. And the date column, like instead of the date, you can add other dimensions also here. Based on my understanding, you can add based on book names also. I have only four columns are there, four values are there as per to books. That's why it is playing like this. For a C sharp or a Java, for a Java, these are the values. So it is not only date, you can add any dimension over here and the user can able to play with that. So that is what the play axis. Tooltip you already know, color saturation you already know, and export, show data, remove, spotlight, focus, and the configuration here is the general where you want to place, and responsive I already said, and high density sampling. High density sampling is nothing but, as I said, whenever you have a more nearby values, these bubbles will override the old values. The bubbles will be overridden. At that time, if you enable it, it is not going to override, it is going to properly get displayed. The legend, what color is representing what, where you want to place, what is the size, what is the font family, everything is discussed. The x-axis, how you want to represent, or what is the starting value, what is the ending value, what is the color you want to represent, what is the title, and the title related things, everything, font family, font size and everything, grid lines enabled or not, if enabled, what is the width, everything we discussed. And the same y-axis also, grid lines, color, stroke width, text size, text title, everything. And the shapes, what shape that you want to represent. Previously by default bubble is there, now we have different shapes are there. How you want to represent, and what is the by default bubble size, by default shape size. Customize series, a specific measure. Here we have cities are there, or a specific value whatever you are representing, how to configure that one. I want to represent Guntur in a circle. Okay, so you can change that one. And a plot area is nothing but background image, category labels, enable or disable. So if we enable the category labels, now for a Java I think we don't have Guntur, and you can see these are the text like Maharashtra. It is showcasing state level data with respect to books. Fine. Category labels, we enable the category labels, and what is the size of that category, font family and the color, and the color border, and title, general, background, everything we already had a discussion. So this is about scatter chart or bubble chart. So whenever you want to display data between two different values, you can use this one. And as I said, this scatter chart and all those things is most frequently used as part of machine learning based on the algorithm that we have. Now just give me a second. So here you can see this is a scattered chart that we used. Or I can maximize it, create. Okay, so we defined the custom x-axis and y-axis, and based on that we displayed that. But anyway, so I opened this one for some other reason. So whatever you saw the animation, if you feel that boss, that animation looks good, I want to apply for a bar chart, I want to apply for some other chart, can I apply it? You don't have that option. You have that option for only bubble chart, but you have one custom visualization is there. If you use that custom visual, you can apply that one to anywhere. So here I use that one. Observe here this functionality. If I enable this one, my complete report will play according to that. Not yet started playing, just give me a second. I didn't click on it. I given certain time to wait, like 1000 seconds or something I given. You can see that I have very less number of values. It is a sample data, but whenever we click on it, it is going to filter here, 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 all the places, and you can see that what dimension that is coming also displayed over here, and that relevant description will be displayed over here. That is what you can do with the DAX. If someone asks you, boss, if I select this one, I need to get display the name there. You want to dynamically enable or disable the name there. Power BI will not give you. You need to use a DAX. So people will tell that if they download the Power BI and if they create one visualization, they are experts in Power BI. But without DAX, nothing. Even if I click on this one, you can see that the relevant event description and the selected value is displayed here. Some people will ask you, boss, whenever I select a drop down value or a slicer value, that need to be highlighted. I don't know whether that feature is available in Tableau or not, but the people will ask you that kind of requirement. We cannot. Like if I select this value, people will expect that this need to be highlighted. This need to showcase in a higher color. I cannot do it here, but I can do a workaround saying that, boss, you selected this one. I can give my own font color. I can give my own background color. Everything I can make it. At the same time, I am populating the relevant value, description, or a dates, everything here. So these kind of things we are going to do with the DAX. Okay, and on the other hand, if you want to get the slice like animation thing, you have one custom visualization is there, play axis. Whenever you use it, automatically all the dimensions will play. It has you can configure that one, fine. So that is what scatter chart and waterfall visualization. Waterfall, as you know, after one level, the second level of information will get displayed. Okay, it is also similar to a scatter chart. The scatter chart, what it is showcasing, all the measures will be displayed on a single bar, one after one, and the other value will get displayed. But here, the measures will be represented at different bars, but one after one it is going to get displayed. So, the state level. I want to play it. You can see that the first this value is represented, second this value, third this value. One after one, the another value will get represented, even though different categories those are. And the breakdown is nothing but, as you know, that second level of dimension, and a tooltip is nothing but If you want to represent more than one measure, you need to use the tooltip. And this export and all those things are same. And the general legend, x-axis, y-axis, data labels, plot area, sentiment colors. So say if it is growing, what color you want to represent? If it is negative value, what color you want to represent? And the total, what color you want to represent? And the title, everything we already had a discussion. That is waterfall visualization. Here, though those are different categories, each category will be represented after another category. All the values are not starting from a zero. That is what waterfall model configuration. And we have this one called ribbon chart, which was recently introduced 3 months back. Here, just a second. So here, if you want to configure, if you want to see the relation between 2 dimensions, we can use this one. So here also the axis state, legend city, that amount paid. One second. Legend city name wise, this is getting displayed. Sorry. The state and the city name. Okay, so state and book name and the amount paid. So you can understand that. Otherwise, instead of a state, I can use my city also. That makes some sense. Fine. Book name and amount paid. Let me enable the data labels and their sizes. So here you can see that I am representing city wise, book wise, the amount paid. Okay, so now it is representing in a city called Chennai. Each book, these are the amount paid. Okay, so Java has 1200, C++ 24 and C has 37. In a Chennai, that C++ at a second position. But if you see in a Coimbatore, that is at a top position, rank 1, and at a Guntur it is a least position. Okay, so it is a last position, and again at a Hyderabad it is at a top position, and Mumbai it is a least position. So here you can see the rank. You can see the rank, not only representing a value, you can see the rank also, where you are in each state. You are top or a least. Let's assume I want to see in a Vellore who is top, who is least, which books are getting a more value or which books are getting a less value. I can find from this one that irrespective of where I am starting, 0 or 1 or something, I can tell that, like this one, the red, C++ is having a less amount paid and Java is having a very high. So this bar chart is going to give you the ranks along with that values, whatever you are representing called amount paid. You can see here what is this showcasing. So here it is not giving anything, and here you can see that Chennai C++ the amount paid is 24, Coimbatore it's a 32, the amount paid change is 800, which is nothing but a 33%. In Chennai it is a rank 2, Coimbatore it's a rank 1, rank change is 1 up. And at the same way Here it is saying that one down, the rank change. Curve method it's a rank 1 and Guntur it's a rank 2 it is saying. So and similarly here you can find something. So here, which means you are at a top position, right? Top position to second position you moved. That's why one down. And here also, if you see, Vellore it's a first rank, in Vijayawada it's a third rank. The difference is 1600. So as here I don't have relevant data, which might or might not make sense. Okay. So first of all, the sales need to be available in all the cities, right? So if that is there, it which will make some sense. But anyways, it is going to showcase the ranks between the dimension value change. It is going to give the ranks. So this is what this ribbon chart. Okay. So I am stopping here. We'll continue from here in the next session. Next session, first 15 minutes, we are going to continue the remaining line and bar charts. These are nothing which will be completed in 5 minutes of time. These two charts we are going to see, and along with that how to configure that ArcGIS maps, the configuration of ArcGIS we'll see. With that, in next session, first 15 minutes the visualizations will be completed.